All right, welcome guys to the two-game NBA slate on Monday. Kind of excited to talk about this one. What's going on, guys? Hope you're having a good day so far. DK for president, appreciate that, man. Let's go over what we know so far, and there's nothing we're really waiting on, which is again kind of refreshing. Kind of could get used to this. I know regular season there's always a ton of news, but yeah, there's no injuries we're waiting on. I'm assuming all the starting lineups are going to be the same for both teams. So, yeah, there's not a ton of news to go over. As far as the Vegas odds go, we got the Heat and the Bucks at 223.5 over under. The Bucks 5-point favorites, and Blazers Nuggets 227 over under. The Nuggets 2-point favorites. You guys know who I will be rooting for both these games, because I made a somewhat bold prediction for the finals, including these two games, that being the Bucks and the Blazers. But all right, so let's just jump right into it, I guess. I'll go team by team, talk about the players I like, and then get to questions at the end. Got a good, 30 minutes, so we got a lot of time. What's going on, Rakan? How's it going, man? What's going on, Patrick? All right, fading Giannis and Jokic. Interesting. That'll for sure make your lineup different, definitely. Okay, so let's just jump into it. Miami and Milwaukee. At the top, yeah, Jimmy Butler, I really like. Again, I won't over this in my video, but he shot 4 of 22 and so for 47 fantasy points. He did play 41 minutes in regulation, and I just think he's too underpriced. I think he looks like one of the best plays in the slate. I don't think he's going to shoot 4 of 22 again, and we know he's a guy that can go and get you all the peripheral stats. So, and Milwaukee, they play at a faster pace. All this points to be Jimmy Butler to be one of the best plays of the slate. So, really like Jimmy there at that price. I think Bam Adebayo is an intriguing pivot here. I think Jimmy is going to be very, very popular. What's going on, Matthew? Let's get it. Yeah, let's get a big dub today. Hoping for no foul trouble or injuries. Yeah, I'm in like the $66 one, then a couple of the like $10 to $20 ones. So I'm actually not in a $100 one today. But yeah, so Bam Adebayo. Since Jimmy is going to get a lot of ownership on this slate, I think he makes for an interesting pivot. Again, definitely suboptimal. Like, you got Bam at 8K and Jimmy Butler at 8.5. Just give me Jimmy all day long there. But, weird things can happen. We could see Jimmy have a terrible shooting game again. You could maybe see some foul trouble. There's been a ton of foul trouble with guys that I have rostered last few games. So, again, anything is possible. And Bam should come in at very low ownership. Like, I don't never look at ownership, but I would guess he's probably going to come in at under 20%. So, yeah, I don't mind Bam as a contrarian option. Scrolling down the list, Tyler Hero 5'9" also should be very, very low owned, and I agree he should be low owned. Now, he did have a really bad shooting game, shot 2 of 10 last game. So, I think if he does have a better shooting game, that there's a chance that he plays 25 to 30 minutes, where his minutes have kind of been all over the place. Since his return here on 5-7, it was 29, then 17, then 35, then 29, then 18. Then this 35-minute game was when everyone was out. So I have like a hard time trying to predict his minutes. I think they're just going to go with, if he's playing well, they'll extend him a bit more. So, I guess for that reason, he makes for a somewhat interesting play in large field tournaments. Like, I don't think I would touch him for higher dollar single entry stuff. But, yeah, that's really the only way I get to Hero is we're making a lot of lineups. What's going on, Tori? All right, so Goran Dragic at 5K. Once again, I think is a pretty solid play in the mid-range to value type play. He played 35 minutes in overtime, so 30 in regulation. He's going to be a high-usage guy off the bench. Now, he did only have 2 boards and 1 assist last game. I expect those to go up. Right? He's normally a guy that can get you, anywhere from like 5 to 8 assists and some rebounds. So he actually he was pretty scoring dependent the last game. I think that changes. I think he does more of the peripheral stats, and if he has another good shooting game like he did last game, he could have a really big game. So I think Goran Dragic is a pretty good play to the mid-range. Scrolling on the list here for Miami, Trevor Ariza is one of those guys. I'm going to talk about a decent amount of like their fine filler options. Like, I would compare Trevor Ariza to like a Robert Covington at 4-4, right? They're fine, right? Both should play over 30 minutes. Both are not great point per minute guys. But you do need to play some of these cheaper guys. So, like, that's doable. Again, I'm not, like, super excited about playing Ariza, but I don't think he's going to kill you. Like, I think he'll play over 30 minutes and probably gets you close to 20 to 25 fantasy points, which is just fine. So, that's really my thoughts on Ariza. Perfectly fine play. Definitely the safer option of the two with him and Duncan. Now, Duncan's the guy that if you're shooting for a little bit more of the upside, I think the upside is there. I also think the floor is lower, and you guys kind of know why, right? Because he's very reliant on scoring. He did have a good shooting game. He started off hot last game. I think he hit like the first three threes of the game. Like he had like 9 points for the Heat, the first 9 points. And he played 36 minutes with 31. I didn't watch that game. I'm guessing he played all of overtime. I could be wrong in that. So maybe it was, I don't know, over 30 minutes. He played over 30 minutes. So, again, like production fluctuates because, it just depends on whether or not he hits his threes. So for that reason, I think he's more of a GPP value play. Probably wouldn't go there in a cash game setting. But I think the upside's a little bit higher on him than Ariza. Kendrick Nunn should be pretty low owned on the slate. Again, I don't think I go to him in like a higher dollar single entry type stuff. I don't think I can do it. I think there's just much safer value plays. But Nunn had a pretty good season this year. He did. And I think we probably get somewhere around 25 minutes. Maybe like if he plays really well, they could extend him a little bit like a Tyler Hero. I think he'll go overlooked. For me, I feel a lot safer just paying an extra $500 for Dragic. But Nunn should also come in at way lower ownership. And then don't play Bielitsa. I saw a couple people actually played him last night. He had a DNP. Dedmon and Iguodala play a little bit. If I'm going to pick between one of the like cheap guys, it's going to be Dedmon just because he's the better point for a guy of the two. He's going to play the backup 5, I think about 10 to 14 minutes. Now, if Bam Adebayo gets in some foul trouble, that's where you could see the big game from Dedmon at like no ownership. So like he's basically like an Enes Kanter, right? You kind of need foul trouble. If you're playing Kanter in the late game, you kind of need the Nurkic foul trouble because I don't see them limiting Nurkic. I don't see them limiting Bam unless there's foul trouble. So if you play Dedmon, and you shoot him for the upside, you do kind of need the Bam foul trouble. I think you could use them as a super low owned value play and just hope that, in 10 to 14 minutes, he can go out and get you like 6 points, 6 boards, and like a block or something. So not completely out of play, but again, more large field stuff. And Iguodala, I'm just not going to get to. He only played 15 minutes, low usage guy. I just don't think it's necessary on the slate. All right, let's move on to Milwaukee. Real quick, though, guys, I'll ask if you guys are just coming in. If you could leave a like button on the live stream. We are already over 200 viewers and 40 likes. Let's try to reach 100 likes before the end of the show. Okay, so let's talk about Milwaukee now. And Milwaukee's a team I have more interest in on this slate than I did on the 4-game slate on Saturday. Giannis ended to come out at 10-8, so you got to make a tough call here with him and Jokic. And we'll get to Jokic, but the reason I think Giannis is going to be more popular today is because of how underpriced Michael Porter Jr. is, right? I think you guys know Michael Porter Jr. is very underpriced, and he's going to be popular. And I don't think if you're making one lineup that people are going to want to play Jokic and MPJ together. So for that reason, I think that the more popular spend up is going to be Giannis, right? So you got to think of it like that. Like people will play MPJ and Jokic together, but I don't think a lot of people are going to want to do that. So since MPJ is so underpriced, by default, I think Giannis is going to be the more popular spend up. And he shot off the last game, 10 of 27, but again, he is Giannis Antetokounmpo, and he's going to play about 40 minutes. So even though the matchup's not great, I do have some interest here in Giannis at the top, and I do think he's going to be a little bit more popular than a guy like Jokic. Now, with Middleton and Jrue Holiday, I think they're both fair plays in the mid-range. I don't know if like one stands out, but like if you're not getting to Giannis, I think I would probably try to get to one of these two guys. So if Giannis is having a bad game, then I think you want to land on either Middleton or Jrue here. So do either stand out? Not really, but I think they're both fine plays. They're both fine plays in the mid-range. And again, if you're not getting to Giannis, I think I would try to get to one of those two. I don't think I want to fade all of the main guys from Milwaukee. I guess you could. Like, anything can happen. You could stack the late game and hope for the blowout here. But, I think I would try to get to at least one of like the main three there from Milwaukee. All right. DiVincenzo for value of 4.9K. I think it's a pretty safe play. We should get about 30 minutes from him. He's a guy that can kind of do it all. We know he's a decent rebounder, can get some assists. Perfectly fine, safe value play. Kind of the same with Brook Lopez. I think they're both safe plays. Brolo should play about 30 minutes. He's a guy that can obviously hit some threes. So both Brolo and DiVincenzo I think are safer plays. And then Bobby Portis, I don't mind his contrarian value play. Probably don't get there for a cash game setting. Minutes-wise, they kind of fluctuate with him. I think somewhere around 15 to 20. 15 to 20. If he plays 15, and he can still get there, but it's less likely. If he plays close to the 20-minute mark, I think he could have a decent game at somewhat low ownership. So we know Bobby Portis is a good point per guy. He'll play the backup 5 mainly. And, I think he's a viable tournament value play. Guys like Connaughton, PJ Tucker, Bryn Forbes, just don't think it's necessary on the slate. So let's move on to Portland and Denver. On the Portland side, Dame and CJ at the top, I think are both decent spend ups. I think maybe both are slightly more GPP plays. Like for Dame at 9.5, I do like Dame. It's just he's close in price to guys like Giannis and Jokic, where I think I would just rather get to those guys. Like if we're talking optimal build-wise, but I do think that will lower the ownership a bit in Lillard. We know he's obviously got the most upside out of anyone on Portland, and he just went for 59 fancy points in 40 minutes last game. So I still have interest in Dame. I think he's a good tournament play. Now, CJ McCollum at 7.3 does feel a little bit underpriced. I still don't think he's going to be super popular because my favorite plays coming up, we'll get to him in a sec. But yeah, CJ does feel a little bit underpriced for a guy that's going to play close to 40 minutes and is a guy that still has upside, but maybe not as consistent as Dame. And then, yeah, Yusuf Nurkic, he's my favorite play here for the Blazers. The only thing I have to worry about is foul trouble. Please, can I not deal with foul trouble one slate? Like, it's been the last 4 slates, I've had someone get in foul trouble, so I'm praying Nurkic doesn't get in foul trouble because I'm playing him tonight. And because he's a great point per minute guy, and if he stays out of foul trouble, he is way underpriced here. So I love Nurkic. I think the only thing you have to worry about is foul trouble. Now he's going to be popular, and if you want to play for foul trouble, you can fade him. You can maybe go to Cantor, or you can just go to one of the guards. But yeah, Nurkic, my favorite play in the Blazers. And then guys like Powell and Covington, the same thing I'll say about Ariza. They're fine filler options. Like Powell's going to play big minutes. He's somewhat reliant in scoring, but he's 5.4K firmly in play. And then Rocco should get about 30 minutes, a guy that can kind of do it all. Again, doesn't really stand out, but again, filler options. And even Melo's kind of a filler play off the bench, should play about 20 to 25 minutes. He had a hot shooting first half, kind of cooled off in the second half. But like all 3 of those guys are decent value plays. Cantor, you only go to him at 4K if you think Nurkic is in foul trouble. He is a good point per minute guy. And if Nurkic does get in the foul trouble, you can see a pretty big game from Cantor. Simons, I'm probably not going to get to. I think he's going to get some ownership after the last game. He shot the ball really well, 5 of 6. Like when everyone's healthy, he's a pretty low usage guy. And I think if he's going to be popular, I'm fine looking elsewhere. Now let's finish up with Denver. So Denver, again, I mentioned MPJ, right? 7K, so that really stands out. Right? He's one of the best plays of the slate. And for that reason, I think that's going to lower the ownership on Jokic, right? Because I don't think a lot of people are going to want to play MPJ and Jokic together. Now, again, some people will, but not a lot of people are going to want to do that. So I think that lowers the ownership on Jokic, which I think makes him a really interesting play. Now, I do think he'll be lower owned for Giannis for that reason. But this is a fantastic matchup, and he's just a guy that is super high floor, high ceiling. I like Jokic a lot. I think he'll be a little bit lower owned on this slate too, which makes him an interesting tournament play. Now, obviously, you can still go other cash games, but I just think people are going to play MPJ first, which should lower the ownership on Jokic. Now, again, 1 over MPJ, I think he's a clear play for optimal build. Crazy stuff can happen. He could still bust at this price. I think it's very, very unlikely. But hey, Joel Embiid busted at 9.8K. Chris Paul busted at 7.5. And Julius Randle busted at 9.2K last slate. So, right, anything can happen. All right, so that's my take with the top 2 guys there. Campazzo at 5.7. The issue I have with Campazzo is not that I dislike him. It's the fact that there's guys that are cheaper guards on this team I much prefer. So I do think that will lower the ownership in Campazzo. So maybe for larger field stuff, you could go there. Optimal build-wise, I'm probably going to stay away. Aaron Gordon is kind of the same boat as Ariza, as Powell, as Covington. Decent filler option. Should play about 30 minutes. Doesn't really stand out, but as the last piece in, perfectly fine. Also has small forward and power forward eligibility, which is a nice little boost. All right, so I hinted at the reason I'm not as high on Campazzo is because we got 2 good value plays here in Rivers and Morris. Now, I do think Rivers will be more popular since he should start unless they change some things up. But assuming he starts, I think we get about 30 minutes from him. Am I really excited about playing Austin Rivers? No, I never am. But he's below 4K. He's going to play probably 30 minutes. It's a good matchup. I think Rivers is a pretty good value play. And I do like Monte Morris as well off the bench. He played 22 minutes last game. I think he could have played more. He got in foul trouble action, came out. I think he could have played more close to the 25-minute mark. We know Monte Morris actually is a pretty decent point per minute guy. So I like Morris. I like Rivers a good amount here for value. I think they're both 2 of the better value plays on the slate below 4K. And then with the other 3 off the bench, Millsap, Green, and Howard. Millsap's by far my favorite. The reason is he's a good point per minute guy. I think all three of these guys hover in the 12 to 20 minute range, somewhere around there, depending on how well the bench plays. They could get close to the 20-minute mark. If they go out there and get killed, they could get a little bit less. So, but Millsap's by far the best point per minute guy of those 3. So for that reason, I like him the best out of him, Green, and Marcus Howard. Jermichael Green had an awful game last game. He still played 18 minutes. Now, he still had a couple decent upside games here. I think we'll come in at way lower ownership than Paul Millsap. So if you want to get really contrarian, I think you could still get to Green. I do prefer Millsap, though. And finally, Marcus Howard at 3-2. He's probably going to get no ownership. He did surprise me. He'll play 20 minutes. I didn't expect that. So assuming we get similar run, he's not completely out of play, but not something I'm going to try to get to with a lot of confidence, right? It's just like if you need someone at 3.2, you can play him, assuming he gets similar run. But yeah, not something I feel really good about. Okay, so that's about it. Let's see. Do we have any more, or do we have the starting lineups out for the early games yet? I don't expect anything to change here. Nope. We just got news that Mitchell will play tomorrow or Wednesday, and Kleber's questionable. So, all right, let's get to some questions, guys. One more time, I'll ask if you could leave a like button on the live stream. We're almost at 300 viewers and 70 likes. Let's try to reach 100 before the end of the show. Let's see. So, Rivers, guaranteed 30 minutes. Yeah, I think Rivers looks like a good value. I do. Ariza or Covington, yeah, that's pretty close to me. I think it kind of depends on how much exposure you have to each team. Like, I basically think they're the same player. So if you have like no Miami guys, then maybe go Ariza. If you have like no Portland guys, then go Covington. If it's a pretty even mix of both, then I think you just flip a coin. Millsap projected for 15 minutes. Yeah, I think somewhere around there. Of him, Green, and Marcus Howard, he's the best point per guy of those three. Let's see. 4 Nuggets, too much? I think it's fine. I think it's fine because you have some cheap guys. You have MPJ that really stands out. So I think the Nuggets are my favorite team to target on this slate. So that's fine. I don't think I would go more than 4, though. Jokic or Giannis? I think optimal build-wise, it is Giannis. And it's for the reason of MPJ is very underpriced. And like for an optimal build, I don't know if I want to play MPJ and Jokic together. So like optimal build-wise, it's Giannis. But I do think Jokic will come in at lower ownership. So it depends kind of how you're playing it. Don't trust Howard at all. Yeah, it's not something I feel super good about, to be honest. Let's see. Ariza, better scorer. Yeah, but Covington's the guy that can go and get you the peripheral stats. He's a good defender, gets some blocks and steals. Gordon or Ariza? I would go Aaron Gordon there. I think Aaron Gordon's a better offensive player than Trevor Ariza. I would go Gordon. CJ or MPJ? MPJ. Is Dragic a must? Nope, not a must, but I do like him. He's probably my second favorite play in the Heat. CJ McCollum, Rivers, Butler, Porter, Nurkic, Drew Holiday, Covington, and Brook Lopez. That looks pretty good to me. MPJ or Nurk? Ooh, both. Both. I guess if I had to pick between the two, I will say MPJ is a little bit safer, I think, because there's less risk of foul trouble. So if I had to pick, it would be MPJ, and it's the only reason I say it is because I think there's a decent chance Nurkic can get in some foul trouble. Knock on wood, he doesn't, though, because I'm playing him. Dragic or DiVincenzo, that's pretty close to me. If you again, it kind of depends on the rest of your lineup, right? If you have no Bucks, then go DiVincenzo. If you have no Heat, then go Dragic. If it's a pretty even split, maybe like the slightest lean to Dragic. Giannis, Lopez, or Melo and Jokic. I'll go Giannis and Lopez. Austin Rivers or Monte Morris. So I think Austin Rivers for a cash game setting, Monte Morris for tournaments. I think Morris will come in at lower ownership. MPJ or Middleton. MPJ for the discount. Top fade. Lillard, I guess. It's not because I dislike Lillard, just the fact of how the slate kind of works for building a lineup, and I think Lillard is kind of hard to get to. Rivers is coming off being sick, not sure on 30 minutes. Yeah, but he played 33 minutes last game, right? He played 33 minutes last game, and I think the starter just got pulled at the very end, too. So, yeah, he was sick last game, he played 33. I think we get similar run. Tournament, Dante DiVincenzo, Monte Morris, Jimmy, MPJ, Nurkic, Simons. Who's that second to last guy? Is that Campozo? Hero or DiVincenzo? I think DiVincenzo is the way safer play of the two. He's kind of locked into his role of about 30 minutes. Hero, I don't hate in the larger field stuff. I wouldn't go there if you're playing high dollar tournaments or anything like that because it's just too big of a risk. But I do think there's a way where Hero could have a good game, right? If he shoots well, I think there's a chance they leave him out there for more run, right? He only played 19 minutes because he shot 2 of 10. Now, we know Hero is not afraid to shoot the ball, and if he does get hot, I think I would not be surprised if Hero starts off hot and he plays over 30 minutes, and then he goes for like 40 fantasy points and no ownership. It's just not something I can go to with confidence for my lineup, because I play one lineup, majority higher dollar stuff, so I don't want to take that risk. But in the lower, in the lower dollar stuff, large field stuff, I'm okay rolling the dice on Hero at pretty low ownership. Portis or Rivers? I think Rivers is the much safer play of the two. I think Portis is the interesting pivot in GPPs. So again, depends what you're playing. Nurkic or Bam. Nurkic for the discount. Best captain play and which showdown slate? Anyone high on Melo for value? I think Melo's fine. I think him, Powell, and Covington are all fine filler options, right? I don't think one really stands out, but I'm not going to talk you, or not going to say you can't play one of those guys. So if the last guy in that works, who's the main guy from Nuggets to play if I think Portland blows them out? If you think Portland blows them out, I mean, I think the starters will still play. If it's like a 20-point game in the fourth quarter, the starters are still going to be in there. So I don't see, there's not one play real. Well, I guess if it's something crazy and it's a 30-point game in the fourth quarter, then I guess Marcus Howard, right? Young guy, he'll play in the blowout, but you need a really weird outcome for that to happen. You needed a really big blowout. All right. Let's see. Powell or Aaron Gordon? That one's pretty close to me. I would say it kind of depends on how much exposure you have to each team, right? That one's basically a coin flip. Jokic, MPJ, stack fine for high-end single entry. Yeah, it's fine to get different. I think that will differentiate yourself a little bit. Like I said, I don't think a lot of people are going to want to do that. I could be wrong, but I think that will lower the ownership of Jokic, since MPJ is such a good play today. Dragic, Rivers, Butler, Giannis, Nurkic, Dante, MPJ, Simons. Fine with it. Again, Simons is not someone I love at that price. Again, he shot really well last game. Everything else looks good. Lopez, Powell, Gordon, or Portis, CJ, and Rivers. I'll go the second one there. Dragic, Hero, Butler, MPJ, Lopez, Drew, Rocco, Nurk for tournaments. Large field stuff is okay. Again, Hero's not a guy I want to get to with confidence, though. It's definitely a risky play. Carmelo or Rocco? I think Robert Covington's a little bit safer. He should play more minutes, whereas Carmelo kind of has to get it done in about 20. So if I had to pick between the two, maybe a slight edge to Robert Covington. Jokic only has 1 assist, no stocks last game also. That's true. I think that's kind of how Portland played him. They didn't double team him a lot, which, they just kind of made him score. So I think those assists will go up, but maybe not by a ton. How's this lineup? Holiday, DiVincenzo, Rivers, Butler, Ariza, Middleton, Nurk, and Dragic. So, you're fading both MPJ and Jokic. I'll say that is pretty risky. What do you do to get different from chalk today? Well, maybe you play 2 stars from one team. That will make your lineup different. So maybe you play Jimmy and Bam together. Maybe you play Jokic and MPJ together. Maybe you play Nurkic and CJ together. I think any combo of playing 2 stars together on one single team, I think will make your lineup a little bit different. Is Dame a good fade? I think I would optimal build-wise, I'd rather get to Jokic or Giannis, but I'm still scared of fading Dame. Porter 60%, yeah, he'll be popular. Can you roster Rivers and Morris together? I think you could. Because they're that cheap and there's not a lot of value on the slate. So yeah, I think that's fine. GPP, Dragic, McCollum, Gordon, Giannis, Bam, Morris, Covington, Brook Lopez. Okay, so you're fading Jimmy, going to Bam. That will definitely make your lineup different. Again, it's definitely contrarian for that reason alone, basically. But I don't see an issue with anyone else you got in there. I just think Bam and Adebayo, you kind of need a big Bam game, which is for sure possible. And you need Jimmy to have another bad shooting game. Giannis and Monte Morris or Bam and Nurkic? I'll go Bam and Nurkic there. Composa 52% in FanDuel. Is this price a lot cheaper on FanDuel? Yeah, because on DraftKings it doesn't stand out a ton. I would rather get to Morris and Rivers. Middleton over Giannis to get different in GPP. Good with it. If you can't afford Giannis, I think I do try to get to one of Middleton or Drew. Miami did a better job last year on Giannis. I think he won't have the greatest game. Yeah, Miami's historically, they're a good defensive team. They did do a really good job at Giannis. So you don't have to play Giannis by any means. I don't think he's a must. Jokic and Rocco or Giannis and Melo. Straight up Jokic and Rocco, because I think Jokic and Giannis is basically a toss-up, and I slightly prefer Rocco to Melo. All All right, we got a couple minutes left, guys. 89 likes. Try to reach 100 before the end if you could. If you're just coming in, leave a like button. It does help me out to, expand to more viewers. Morris, Portis, Jokic. So Monty Morris, Bobby Portis, and Jokic, or Drew, Jamelka Green, Nurkic for GPP. I'll go with the second one and hope Jamelka Green just has a decent game, doesn't kill you. Who would you rather start in cash games? Dame, Butler, and Jokic, or a Dame, Jokic? Wait, with Dame, Butler, and Jokic, or a Dame, Jokic line? I would probably start a cash game lineup with Jimmy Butler. That's what I would do. You might have to ask that question again. I'm a little bit confused. Middleton and Drew stacked from Milwaukee. That'll make your lineup a little bit different. Playing both, I don't think that's optimal. I could see it working out though. Again, like that, I think that's one way if you're trying to get different in a 2-game slate. It's like play 2 stars from one team. Dragic, Campazzo. Dragic there for me because I prefer the cheaper guards on Denver. DiVincenzo or Gordon. Gordon by a little. Ownership way too low. I'm doing a showdown lineup from Milwaukee versus Miami. Who do you think I should get to? Brook Lopez and Drew, or Giannis and Iguodala? Ooh. Giannis and Iggy, and just hope Iggy can get you like 10 to 15. Taking price out of consideration, Nurk or Jimmy Butler? Jimmy Butler for sure. Price out of consideration, Jimmy Butler. Any Powell love? Yeah, I think it's a fine filler option. Should play 35 plus minutes. A little bit reliant on scoring. Rivers fine for tournaments. Yeah, he's going to be popular for sure. Best captain play on both showdown slates. Kind of depends what you're playing for, right? All right, sorry if I'm missing some questions, guys. It's going a little bit fast, so I'll do my best. Great advice, DK. Appreciate that, man. Thank you. All Portland guys: Lillard, CJ, Powell, McCollum, Covington, Nurkic, MPJ. Okay. Dame time. Yeah, Dame should be a little bit lower owned, and I'm a little bit scared of fading Dame Lillard. I'm not gonna lie, because he's Dame Lillard, and he can go off any single game. I just do think of the big 3 for Portland, Nurkic looks the best. Now again, I think the way you fade Nurkic is if you kind of need some foul trouble. Middleton cheaper than MPJ and Yahoo. Yeah, the Middleton looks pretty good. I haven't looked at the pricing, but I mean that probably means that Middleton's pretty cheap. Seriously think Lillard goes off. Denver's no one to stop him. Yeah, I'm good going to Lillard. Like I like him for tournaments. Obviously, it's a 2-game slate, so you got to take some stands. Are you rolling Jokic or Giannis? Right now, Giannis. It could change. Right now, I have Giannis in, and the reason I'm being is what I've talked about a couple of times now is I have MPJ in. And I do think, playing MPJ and Jokic together may be slightly suboptimal, but it could still work out. Would you rather play Rivers and Morris? Yeah, you can definitely play Rivers and Morris together. Composed to 5,400 on FanDuel, and he's picking up that ownership. Well, I guess he had to play 2 point guards. Again, FanDuel's a little bit different for that reason. Composo, Morris, DiVincenzo, Rivers, Butler, Porter, Giannis, Covington, and Nurkic. I'm guessing that's a FanDuel line. I see nothing wrong with it. Morris or Simons? Definitely Morris. Morris by a wide amount over Simons. Dante DiVincenzo, Giannis, and Robert Covington, or Dragic, Giannis, and Melo. So basically DiVincenzo and Rocco, or Dragic and Melo. I'll go with the second one. Not a super strong take. Hey, appreciate that, Encore. All right, guys, minute left. Last minute questions. Throw them in here. Powell or Gordon, slight edge to Gordon, but not a strong take. No injuries, please. No injuries, no foul trouble would be great. Composo or Hero. Composo is the way safer play. In large field tournaments, though, I'm fine taking a shot on Hero. Like I said, I do think if he shoots well, they could extend him till like closer to 30 minutes. So there is an upside for Hero. You just need him to have a good shooting game off the bench. Dragic, Dante, Butler, MPJ, Nurkic, Rivers, Covington, Dame. I like that. If you guys like over/under, okay, let's see. Thoughts on Dame, Rivers, Jimmy, MPJ, Nurkic. Yeah, I like that too. Portis or Melo. Slight edge to Portis. He's the better point guy of the two, even though I think he plays a few less minutes. None or Rivers. Rivers for the discount there. Thoughts on Rivers, Morris, Butler, MPJ, Jokic, Dragic, Covington, Nurkic for cash. I like it. All right, guys. Last question here, and then I'm going to get out of here. So 5K utility, 5K under utility. This will be the last one. Again, appreciate everyone coming to check it out. Appreciate you guys hitting that like button. So 5K. Yeah, you got Dragic, you got DiVincenzo. There's a lot of options here. Ariza, Lopez, Duncan, like these 5 guys, I think all are firmly in play. if I had to pick, I'll go Dragic. I think he probably has the most upside. I guess Duncan has some upside too if he's hitting his shots, but Dragic may be a little bit safer. So with that, all that being said, I think Dragic is probably the guy I get to. Not a super strong take, but that's where I'm at with that question. So again, appreciate all the support, guys. Appreciate you guys coming to check out the live stream. We hit over 300 viewers and 100 likes. I'll be back tomorrow as always. I think, is it a 2-game slate or 3-game slate tomorrow? I know there's like 2 and 3 game slates this week, and then the weekend is like the 4-game slates. Let's see. I want to say it's 3 games tomorrow. It is 3 games tomorrow, so I'll be back to break that down. Video up later tonight. Good luck tonight, guys. Enjoy the games, and I'll see you back here tomorrow.